So number 3 comes from very traditional thinking of the dev team gets handed a spec by the analysts then hand the spec over to the testers write a bunch of test cases based on the spec, they then get the code, they run their test cases, and there's mayhem. Because the testers are testing according to the spec. And the spec isn't exactly what the devs built because there was some communication mishap along the way.
Or even worse, the testers are testing their understanding of the spec and the developers wrote their understanding of the spec. So what we're saying here is make sure that understanding is the same before any code is written. Don't care whose understanding is right, but make sure it's the same. So it's not a case of, I've got this cutting test case. I'm going to catch the developer on because he didn't think about compound interest. I'm so going to catch that guy. Tell the developer, hey dude, have you thought about compound interest? Have the conversation up front. Yeah?
How do you manage this process when you're in a phase of development where you've got a lot of very small work items that the team is working on? So they're short, a couple of hours, 8 hours.
Awesome.
Okay.
Write the test, write the thing, ship it.
It's the best way, actually. Yeah, the smaller your item is, the better. Use the show me column.
Yeah, the show me column will work perfectly. After 4 hours of writing that small feature, somebody else can look over it. Yes, it's exactly what we expected. No, there's one small tweak it, and you're done.
Take it and test it.
Sorry?
Take it and test it.
No, because we've already tested it and written the
So try and test it before you...
try testing it before. This is what I'm going to test and expect it to happen. If you're really good, then get... So something I didn't mention yet is a really great way to start testing, writing automated tests if you've got testers and developers, is to use their skills together. Don't automate at the GUI, just don't go there. Look at the API level, have the developer and the tester talk and say, well, there's this function called add, and it takes in 2 numbers and passes the result. Okay, developer go away and write the fixture that's going to test that and check the code result with the tester's expected result. Tester, go write a spreadsheet of test cases of all the different cases you want to write. Write those 2 together, plug them together. They should all fail because you don't have any code yet, and now you've got an automated test suite that as soon as you write a line of code, you'll know if those test cases are passing or not. That's the best way to start doing automatic testing at the functional level. Yeah.
Okay.
Now that you have a show me column,
Yes.
what is the role of a tester inside a sprint? When do they actually test?
They
As
test
early as possible.
from the first meeting.
First meeting.
They're testing grooming, they're testing sprint planning.
But when is the story complete?
When all the tasks are done and it meets the definition of done.
Yes, but when I have a task or a specific story, and
Yeah.
I think I've completed it, and I show it to my buddy over here,
Yeah,
and he thinks it's correct.
yeah.
Is that task done? Where does
So,
it test?
Do you trust your buddy?
Sort of.
So as a team, an agile team, it's important to have that level of trust. That whole quality, the team is responsible for quality. If me as your buddy, I let your crappy code through, I'm probably going to have to fix that crappy code. So I'm going to tell you immediately. And that's a commitment that you have with each other and a responsibility that as a team you need to have.
Yes, but where does the tester come in?
So what a tester is in a team is someone with a subject matter knowledge deep in that domain and someone with some experience on and theory in how to test effectively. So it doesn't mean they have to necessarily do the testing. So I believe everyone should do the testing, and in fact if you're automating most of your tests, then very little testing happens. Testers write test cases, developers write code. What the tester's role is to help make sure the team are constantly thinking about testing. And they do that best in the planning meetings. So what they're doing is, in the planning meeting, how are we going to test this? Do we all understand how we're going to test it? This stuff's going to be automated with that tool. We're going to do some exploratory testing around this area, and then we're going to do a performance test on this because that's important. Everyone know what those things are? Yes. The end, the story is done when exploratory testing has been done, and any issues from it have been cleared with the product owner. The performance test is done. All the automated tests were discussed, have been written, and are passing and green. The order that those things happen in don't matter. Maybe Maybe the tester's off sick for 3 days and the developer does the exploratory testing. That's okay. Does that answer? Okay, I think Justin's been trying to ask for ages.
Sorry, Justin.
I've just got a question around pen testing, penetration testing. How would that work? Would you typically still do that after the whole process?
So I have some experience of this when I worked with Visa, and what I know about pen testers is that they are a small little division and you hire them to come in.
Repeat his question.
Oh, sorry. How do you deal with pen testing? So penetration testing, where you give your system to a bunch of hackers and they try to break it. And so the best approach I found to dealing with this is know it's going to happen and schedule it to happen, preferably not only once before your release, because if there's an issue you want to find it out earlier, but you also want to approach that team's not going to find anything. So every time you do a pen test and you get some info back from them, figure out what are the things they found and how can we change our planning and our design process to make sure those bugs don't get reintroduced in the future. So after the first one, try to prevent those bugs. And then have it there as a security checkpoint, but your goal should be hoping that they don't find anything. And also, if you're not sure, you haven't done this a lot, do not schedule your pen test for the release sprint just before your release, because then you will find stuff. So if there is something that you can't test every time, same thing with benchmarking. If you're going to an expensive benchmarking center, you have to book it. Don't do it right before the end of the release, because then you don't have time to fix issues. So schedule it twice, once middle of the release, once at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, so, go ahead.
Sorry. How do you break your test team's dependency on the 5,000 test cases that they wrote a year ago?
That's hard. That's really, really
You
difficult.
accidentally delete the system that stores them.
No, don't do that.
Take the server down and see if anyone notices.
So
After
this
removing the backup.
is kind of the same as anything. Okay? Looking at agile testing the way we've just proposed it is a very big change, especially if you're a tester and you're very dependent on your performance review, which states however many bugs you find is related to how your salary gets increased. So you can't just make a blanket rule, this is how we're doing things now. You have to look at talking to your testers, getting them to understand the value behind this. It's a big change for them. It's a big change for developers too. All of a sudden the tester has to stop being a second-class citizen, which most testers are, whether they like to admit it or not. And they have to step up to being a first-class citizen, who now argues with developers to try and understand and get clarity over what we're going to build, and is it the right idea, is it the best way forward. So it's quite a big change. So do it slowly, and start with, as Mitch said, start with the values, start with why you're trying to do this, what is the benefits of this, and let's try it. One meeting at a time. I see a waving hand at the back. Let's do this first. Wait, who's first? Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So as Mitch mentioned in the first talk, that if the product owners write the user acceptance tests, then the developers and the entire team basically knows when the story is going to be done, right?
Yeah.
When the story is going to be done. So that's basically the test cases. And show me is more like a showcase when you say that, hey, product owner, this is what we built. Does this look okay or not? So what is the tester responsibility there? I see both, like most of the stuff that you've mentioned here is done by the product owners and the entire team.
So you're misunderstanding the show me. The show me is not product owner, we finished the functionality. The show me is, hey, other dev dude, I just wrote this function, check out the code.
Other team members.
So we're not talking about reviewing the product in the show me, we're talking about reviewing the technical code, the test cases. So it's a technical review, not there's still a show the product owner at the end of the story or at some point in the story. This is a different show me.
So is the tester involved during the show me?
They can be. They might be one of the people showing someone else what they've just done. But it doesn't have to be, I'm going to show the tester. It's, I'm going to show another teammate what I've done so that there's a double checking on what I've just done.
Dude at the back, I've just been told we don't have time to ask so.
Find us in a break.
So please find me and I will answer the question. Thanks guys.